Howdy. I'm back again. And yes, I'm in the same fucking shirt. What you gonna say? That's what I thought. I hope you weren't actually saying something. I can't hear you. But anyways, I'm back again, and this time I just want to chat real quick, I promise, about my biggest fear. I just want to get this out because I have been feeling this coming up a lot more for the past couple of weeks, and it sucks. I haven't told anybody. I've had the urge to tell like at least my family maybe, but I just haven't, you know? And let's talk about fears for a second. So, a true fear, like not just something like, "Oh, it's a creepy crawly" or blah blah, but like actually being fearful, scared of something. I mean, usually that comes from, of course, maybe some type of experience in the past, especially when we were young, because that's when we're highly more impressionable. Of course, very, traumatic events, even. And even just, they could come on as symptoms, even of other things. Like if we already are dealing with, let's say, anxiety or something, then we'll create fears in our head because the anxiety is causing us to overthink and then create new scenarios and new um, aspects to try to place blame when really the thing that we really are afraid of is elusive but still in front of us. It's weird. So, these things that we create in our heads and we associate these very heightened state of emotions with, it's really impactful in the worst way. Like, I know for me, when I talk about and get more in depth about what I'm truly afraid of, it's gonna seem so simple, maybe even a little selfish, egotistical, but we're gonna get into why exactly I fear it. Possibly because I'm still figuring it out along the way. This is all real time shit I'm going through. Like, this isn't just some documentary about what happened. This is what is happening and what happened to get here. So, like, we're gonna really dive into why that's my fear, where it possibly came from, and what the fuck do we do now? Because I'm always so aware. That's the thing about being, like, always so aware, but bitch, what are we gonna do? And I'll be taking action. I be doing stuff, but it's like, I wish sometimes I was ignorant. Like ignorance is bliss. But unfortunately, I am a genius, so I don't know what to tell y'all. I just know everything. No, I don't. Don't ask me to do a math problem, especially if it has letters in it. Fuck you. So, to give context before we get into the nitty gritty of it, this is basically surrounding how I act in my connections, personally, even professionally, but especially personally, like within family, friends, even romance, although that's been dead. At least it seems like it. But I'm a little crazy, so I don't need that anyway. Um, but yeah, anyways, so how I tend to act, like I said, I'm gonna always keep it real. We're gonna get a little vulnerable here, okay? This is my digital diary after all, essentially. So at least in my opinion, and I'm trying not to project right now or like make up shit, but as objective as I can be towards myself, I would say I show up in my connections as someone who is very calculated, honestly, cautious. And it's not because like I'm a sociopath or something or I just don't actually care. It's more so I'm calculated in how I give and receive because I'm horrible at receiving shit. I've gotten better in the last year receiving compliments, but it used to really make me just kind of like do a goddamn somersault inside my body whenever I would get a compliment. So I'm just telling you right now. And it's not like I grew up necessarily ugly. I mean, I never really viewed myself as ugly. I just never viewed myself as extraordinary either. I thought I was just average. But then people will tell me, no, you're not average. And I'm like, you're kind of a liar, but I mean, but yeah, like, don't lie to me, bitch. If I had a knife, but okay. So, but yeah, so calculated in that sense, I'm not really good at receiving, so I'll calculate when to give. And then also, I'm not the best at initiating. It's like weird because I will initiate, but like I said, I'm calculative. I observe everything. I, since childhood, and this is probably part of some traumas, we gonna use that buzzword a lot, but I have become a master at observing people. Now, sometimes the projection interferes. So what I'm observing, or at least interpreting, because there's a difference between observing and interpreting. Difference right there. So I become a master at observing people. Now, interpretation can get muddy because, like I said, my interpretation can be influenced by different things, especially if I'm going through something. Moods can, color different things that I'm viewing. And then also if I'm projecting something because I'm going through something. But observing, I'm very observant, calculated. Also, I'm honest enough to say I'm not the most open person. Like, I'll be honest about things. If I tell you something, best believe it's how I feel, but it's like we'll stop there. It'll be surface level honesty. Sometimes I just honestly don't care to go deeper, but then other times it's also just like I'm just not feeling safe enough. But the thing is, there's this constant gap or even like cognitive dissonance within myself. It's gotten worse because I'm getting more aware, duh, where internally I have development and I want these things and I know that I can deserve them and I can achieve them, like, having better friendships, communicating better, doing this and that. I'll even get the nudge or the urge within myself, the intrinsic motivation to communicate better, to say this or that, to be open and honest, to work on these friendships, reach out more. And then the external, the actions I take, the surrounding environment leads me not to do it. Yeah, I don't know. And so within myself at least, I feel like I connect with others and even the world in a way where yes, I want all these things and I can be a lovely person and I do give and I do try to show love in my own way, but I don't show up consistently. I can't receive when others do try to give. And then that leads me to feel more jaded, but it's in like a self prophecy way, like a self fulfilling prophecy, because you didn't really allow yourself to get anything from anybody. So, like, what do you think? Like, bitch, come on out. Like, come on, bitch. Let's be for real. But, we're here. Let's digress. So, basically, because of all of that, and then you see how, like, I'm my own worst critic, because even as I say this out loud, I'm like, damn, I'm calling myself a bitch. I'm calling this and that. Like, and granted, I'm very sarcastic and whatnot. So, I mean, it's not really the cussing. It's just like, I really am my own worst critic. And so when this happens, and like I said, I'm so aware of all these things going on, I just fold in on myself like infinitely and shame myself. And then it's like, that also leads me to not taking any action or showing up inconsistently, because I'm like, oh, I did this one time, then I fucked up the next time. So obviously I can't handle this. And no, I'm the worst person in the world. And that's why nobody loves me. And it's just like, oh, God damn. Like, if somebody had to spend a day inside my mind, never again. Like, oh my God. If they had an inside out version of my mind, anxiety, there would be 2 3 anxiety bitches up in there. Like, it's 2 3 motherfuckers in there who are anxiety. Maybe for like one for work, one for relationships, and then one just for myself. Just for myself. Because no, like, this shit is crazy. It's crazy. In that case, now it leads me to just go ahead and admit it. What is really my biggest fear, at least that's been showing up recently, like I said, is that there will be absolutely not a single soul in this fucking world who will have anything memorable or meaningful in a positive connotation to say about me, to think about me. Like, I'll overhear like my family members or, friends talking about other people like, OMG, like, I love you so much. Like, you just light up my life and you just you just give me new ideas and fresh takes. And I'm just like, wow, that's so beautiful. I wish somebody could say the same about me. And yet, like I said, it's probably a fear. Because this is, like I said, this is something I'm afraid of. Me fearing that nobody will have anything great or meaningful to say about me is like, even I take a step back and I'm like, why is that my fear? Why does that get me so twisted up in knots inside? And so let's break it down. Like I said, this is real time shit. You're getting a peek inside this maniac's mind. So, at least what I could theorize. That's probably my problem. I rationalize everything. I mean, great. But, I digress. Um, the thing is, it's not necessarily like you would think that sounds so selfish. Like, why are you afraid that nobody has anything good to say about you? I mean, I'm sure your mom could at least say something about you, like, yeah, I know that. I've already rationalized all that. I mean, come on, guys. I'm pro overthinker over here. Don't get me started. The thing is, though, I feel like it's a lie. Simple as that. And do you see where the conundrum comes in? Because how am I supposed to receive or believe that people actually care about me and give a fuck about me when I believe everything is a lie? Everybody's lying, everybody's acting. But you know why? Oh my God, it just dawned on me. Like I said, this is real time shit. My own therapist. The reason why I think everybody else is lying is because I'm a liar. Because I'm lying. And like, you see how I just gave y'all context a couple minutes ago? And I walked you through at least a little bit about how I connect to others, how at least how I probably relate to the world, how I show up. As you can see, I'm a liar. And it's not that I actually am trying to pathologically go out there and lie about everything. Like I said, I'm not a sociopath. I'm not a psychopath. At least I don't think I'm a bad person. I'm just someone who has, for some reason, adapted the mentality and the lifestyle of people pleasing, taking the back seat, not feeling comfortable in the spotlight. And for some reason, I don't fully believe that I actually deserve to have a meaningful connection with anybody. And, we could trace this back to when even I was born. I mean, I have one fully absent parent, no father. I'm sorry, but uh, no parent, no dad, no father figure, no consistent one at least. My mom tried her best. I love her. But it's her first time on this planet too. Her first rodeo. And it wasn't perfect. So, I mean, she's a workaholic. She was raised by a mother who wasn't the most emotionally available. That, my grandmother, I love her too, but she also was raised by someone who was pretty much absent, and then the people that were her guardians weren't the most emotionally, it's just a long line of emotional neglect, emotional unavailability, and inconsistent affection. So I've pretty much gotten used to lack of communication or very bad inconsistent communication, inconsistent affection. I mean, I really struggle with even just walking into the house and saying hi to everybody because I was just not used to that. Like I said, I love my mom. She tried her best. She raised me very smart, analytical, grounded, but very mature, as we could tell. But she did not give me the emotional enrichment I desperately needed and desired. My grandmother helped out somewhat with that because she lended herself as a ear, that would listen, a venting space. And that's probably why we were so close, because I felt like she was literally the one person I could at least consistently count on to hear me out. So that created some emotional safety. But then she's gone. And, even before she was actually gone and passed away, um, after the cancer came back and stuff, of course, I couldn't rely on her as much because she was going through stuff of her own. And, eventually she was in the hospital. And, I was very angry during that time, even up to her passing. And I realized it wasn't me being angry at her, of course. It was the anger at me losing the one safe space that I felt like I had. And I felt a lot of rage, even up until now, about that. I would say rage and melancholy are the two most common feelings I have throughout this life so far, which is saying a lot. Rage and melancholy. I literally named myself One Angry Girl at one point. That was even my Steam account name. So I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, so to relate all that back into this fear of basically no one having anything meaningful to say about me, it really just stems from the fact because I feel like I don't have anything meaningful to say about myself or think about myself. And of course there are days and I consistently come across like I'm confident, I shave off all my hair, I make all these crazy style changes. Yes, there is a part of me at my base, at my core that is confident. I have the self-confidence. I can think of myself highly, but deep, deep down in that chewy, ooey gooey center of who Tamaya really is, I'm just a sad little girl who likes watching movies and making art, who felt like no one ever listened to her, and so she shut the fuck up and she rather hide away instead of even trying to raise her voice so that maybe she could be heard. But then, she thinks about the times where she did try to raise her voice or try to take action and it didn't work out, or somebody dismissed her, like, for instance, her mom or other people that were close to her that she tried to trust. And so now she's already aged herself out as if she's already in her fucking elderly years and has all the wisdom, although she does not know anything. She just knows of things. And at this point, she's trying to learn how to still actually act her age, but she doesn't even know how to do that. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, like I'm trying to have fun out here, but bitch, I don't know how to have fun. The fuck? And it's not to say that I'm not a decent person to hang out with, or like I of course don't have any redeeming qualities. I am aware that yes, I am a very at least decent, lovely individual. People do have fun with me. People have even said you are funny, you are smart, you are this, you are that, hippity hoppity bullshit. But like I have just mentioned, if I, or even you, if you're going through this, if you cannot fully put trust and faith in the fact that you are a meaningful person and you do have value and there are redeeming qualities about you, then you cannot believe an external source. And that is why my fear is that no one will have anything meaningful to say, because the imposter syndrome, my anxieties and my feelings of rejection and existential loneliness have turned into crippling imposter syndrome. This is what I'm currently going through, and this imposter syndrome has led me to fear that others will figure out that I am a phony, that I'm not funny, that I'm not smart, that I'm actually a loser, and that actually Tamaya is just a bitch and she hates everybody and she doesn't care, and we should all leave her alone and never listen to her. And that's what it's telling me. And that's why my biggest fear is no one will have anything to actually say that's meaningful, lovely, poetic, even positive about me. Because then they'll actually think back and they'll realize Tamaya was never there. Tamaya never spoke up. Tamaya was lying. But that's not really what they would say. And I know that. But it's what I would say because I know the truth. And I know that I wasn't actually being present. I know that I was not actually speaking up when I should have. And I know that I was lying, not because I wanted to harm others. It was actually the opposite. It was because I wanted to make others feel better, because I know what it's like to not be listened to. I know what it's like when someone doesn't hear you out. And I know what it feels like to feel like shit in these connections. So I big everybody else up. I sit back and observe and don't take any action. I only react to you and try to make you feel better. And I apologize even when I probably shouldn't. And I don't self advocate for myself even when I get called out, because what's the bother? And yes, there's a part of me that genuinely doesn't care sometimes, but I should still self advocate for myself, because at the end of the day, don't let nobody fucking run shit around you, no matter how old or what your connection to them is or whatever the fuck. So, wow, I just spilled my guts out. I kind of feel like crying, but I'm also like admiring my beautiful face. So that's like keeping me steady, you know? Right. To conclude all of this, because that kind of got a little heavy. Yikes! And look at me deflecting from the moment with humor. I love it. Anyways, similar to what I said in the last video. Okay, we're aware of all of this. We just real time got into some bullshit. What the fuck are we gonna do about it now? Honestly, man, like I said before, self-soothing, reparenting, and unlimited, unabashed, unashamed creativity. Like I kind of hinted at before, I am moving forward where I have to release. The only way that I feel like I will be able to really, at least on my own, battle this bullshit that's happening inside me is by gathering up so much evidence of my value, of my worth, of my meaningful contribution. And this is not coming from, because that could sound dangerous, like I'm searching for external validation, but it's not external validation. It's actually the evidence for myself, the internal validation that you are literally proving yourself wrong. If I were to list all of my achievements and also the goals that I set for myself that I have accomplished, even just within the past year, that already constantly reminds me that you literally are proving yourself wrong. Like, for instance, that I can't be successful within work or creativity, but I gain subscribers on YouTube. Granted, I'm not Mr. Beast, but who gives a fuck? Like, I gained subscribers on YouTube. I was getting comments and likes and people supporting me, and people still do. Um, I literally went ahead and I completed at least 2, 3 of the main major life goals I had, because I was able to get the jobs, perfect divine timing when I needed to, and also the pay that I really needed. And I even just did that literally, like I said, from the last 2 months. Like, you got to take those leaps and trust yourself. So this is allowing myself to gather up evidence of not only trusting myself, my decision making, but also my intuition and my reasoning, because you want to have a balance of both. And then ultimately, overall, that I am a good person and that there is actually redeeming shit about me. I mean, obviously, if I was such a horrible fucking conniving ass bitch, I would not be getting the shit that I am in life. When I think about it, I actually am a very lucky person, and I am grateful for that. Things work out for me that I really didn't even expect it to. And I was worried it wouldn't, but then no, it all goes how it's supposed to go. And whether it comes exactly how I expected is a different story. But at the end of the day, by focusing on myself in the sense that I'm not going to be able to get validated by others, because obviously I'm not going to believe it. Not right now, not for real. It's important to focus on the fact that you need to get the validation from yourself. Reparenting. I was just thinking about that. Reparenting, that's a good one. If you're going through anything similar, look into that. Figure out what works best for you. But that nervous system regulation and reparenting yourself, it's amazing. Because everything, that's one of the things I had to accept too. And that's what's also healing me and my mother's relationship with each other. I'm not going to be able to get the things that I wanted back then from her, especially. I have to accept that. I have to live and die with that. But that does not mean that I still cannot get it or that I don't deserve it. I can give myself that. And one day I pray and I hope that I can fully receive that from someone else, whether it is a lover, my husband, or friends and family. And it's not that my family and others don't care about me, but everybody is so caught up in their own shit, which is completely understandable, that, you know, not everybody can focus on you. And that's the thing, too, you have to realize, which has helped me. When it comes to these mental health issues and these things we're going through, because every single one of us are going through some bullshit, it makes us selfish. When I was really deep in my depression, especially during high school, when I was really lashing out with the rage in middle school, even now while I'm going through crippling imposter syndrome and health anxiety, it makes you selfish because you think that I am alone. And so I'm the only one with real pain. I'm the only one going through some shit. Everybody else, it's whatever because it doesn't compare to this pain that I feel. And of course, it's not going to compare because you can't actually feel what they're going through, even if you have empathy. You can only imagine. You could try to place yourself in their shoes, but you can only feel what you are feeling right now. And that makes you, of course, focused on your preservation, which is not a bad thing. Self-preservation first, or you will have nothing to give to others. But it becomes, a point of you can actually connect with others because you basically are invalidating them. And that's what I've learned. I have been invalidating, especially my family and other people and their experiences because I was just so like entrenched in the pain of myself that I just couldn't even get my head above the water, honestly. And I mean, I only hope that, that only happens for like, moments. I hope at least it feels like that, but it does get tiring. And I know it gets tiring even for other people because it's like, damn, what the fuck is wrong with this bitch now? Like, she was just okay like 2 weeks ago. Now this bitch all fucked up and she running around the house all mopey and it's fucking up everybody else's energy. But like, look, I'm a work in progress, okay? Bitch, I'm 19. Like, I'm just figuring shit out, motherfuckers. So damn. But yeah, just a little last little golden nugget. So, if anything, like most realistically, I'm tired of therapy. I've been to at least 2, 3 therapists. I'm tired of therapy. I do not want drugs. I don't care to get like, specifically maybe an autism spectrum or neurodivergent exam. I just don't think it's necessary. I mean, maybe later in life, but I don't personally don't care. My family, like, they joke, but like they also are kind of serious. Like, there's probably something going on, but because I do get very overstimulated very easily, especially with my sensory. Like, I feel like I don't have sensory issues, but I mean, possibly I have a sensory disorder because anything that like repeats itself immediately annoys me. Oh my god, like, and that's why sometimes it's a hassle living in this house with my aunt because she eats ice, and if you know anybody who eats ice, and we have the ice maker in the in the fridge, so all you hear is constantly the ice falling into her cup from the ice maker, her crunching and munching. She loud as fuck. Like, she's a loud person, and we love her, but like, girl, you loud as fuck. As soon as she get up she on the phone talking and yelling and ice and munching and it's like, bitch, shut the fuck up. Oh, I'm sorry. But yeah, so yeah, I'm sure there's issues that we could put a label on, like I said, but realistically, I don't really care because at the end of the day, I want to take ownership of my own healing. And healing, you can't just do it by yourself. Like, This is why you even know that you need to be healed, because when you go into connections, whatever type of connection, you see the shadows, you see the insecurities, you see the gaps. But I'm just saying, in terms of, I don't want the drugs, I don't want the therapy, at least not right now. I've already been through that. I feel like I've reached a plateau with the therapy, especially. I do not want the drugs, and I feel like I can at least regulate myself enough to where it's not extreme, like to the point where I have a psychotic break or anything. So, all that being said, yeah, I'm just figuring out ways, especially on my own, but that I can actually work with myself and my body and my emotions. And so I hope that helps, if anybody's even watching. But yeah, that felt better to admit that, to say all of that, because I do love people. I'm trying to love myself. And I do want people to love me. And that's okay to admit. I do want to be loved. So I just hope that one day I actually can feel it. Toodles!